Keegan Bradley just dropped a bombshell that's got the whole golf world buzzing. This wasn't about Ryder Cup stats or leaderboards, it was raw, unfiltered, and heartbreakingly real. Just weeks after leading Team USA through that crushing defeat, Bradley finally cracked and revealed what really went down behind the curtain, and what he confessed on camera might flip everything upside down.
We tried to set the course up to help our team. Obviously, it wasn't the right decision. I think anytime you're the leader of a team or you're the captain or the coach or whatever, we talked about this last night, you have to take, you're going to get the accolades and you need to take the blame for when things don't go. I definitely made a mistake on the course setup. I should have listened a little bit more to my intuition, and we, for whatever reason, that wasn't the right way to set the course up. We didn't expect the greens to be this soft.
That haunting loss, the 2025 Ryder Cup, was supposed to be Keegan Bradley's redemption story. What was meant to be Keegan Bradley's cinematic comeback after being snubbed from the 2023 roster turned into his own Greek tragedy. Under the brutal New York sun at Bethpage Black, with the roar of Team USA echoing through the fairways, his perfectly planned dream fell apart in slow motion. Led by world number 1 Scottie Scheffler and the fiery Bryson DeChambeau, the Americans stormed in as heavy favorites, hungry for revenge. But Europe, cold, precise, ruthless. Under Luke Donald's calm command, they executed like machines, and by the end of day one, Europe led 6.5 to 1.5.
We sat, I did, and looked at a lot of info, and we thought this was the best way to set the golf course up to win. You look at past Ryder Cups, and that's kind of how it goes. But sometimes you got to make a decision on what to do. And if I could go back, I probably would have changed that. But the Europeans played just incredible golf. Doesn't matter how you set the course up when you play that way.
It wasn't just a bad start, it was a total collapse disguised as competition. Bradley's brilliant pairings that fans once praised now looked desperate, as Cantlay and Morikawa couldn't sink a putt to save the flag. DeChambeau was slicing drives like a weekend amateur, and every mistake hit harder because this wasn't just golf, it was national pride bleeding out in real time. Saturday only made the nightmare worse, as Europe stretched the lead to 11.5 to 4.5, and even the loudest American fans started whispering that the whole thing felt cursed. Social media exploded with wild theories, bad pin placements, rigged course setups, even talk of locker room drama boiling over. Then came Sunday, the supposed day of miracles. Team USA clawed back with fire, and Justin Thomas drained a 20-foot monster putt that briefly lit up hope again. But then, Rory McIlroy, the cold-blooded crusher of American dreams, sealed it for Europe once and for all. Minutes later, silence swallowed the fairway as Bradley stood trembling on the 18th green, microphone shaking in his hand, voice cracking as he said, "I'm proud, but it hurts." That single line turned into viral legend, the moment the stoic captain's mask shattered in front of millions. For 2 long years, Keegan Bradley had been plotting his redemption arc, and all he got was heartbreak, in brutal high definition. CBS analysts called it one of the most painful collapses in modern golf. But for Bradley, this wasn't about stats or scorecards. It was deeply personal. While Europe sprayed champagne and laughed under flashing cameras, Bradley disappeared into the shadows of Bethpage. Later that night, cameras caught him wandering past the empty stands, hat still on, head hanging low. It wasn't the loss that broke him. It was the crushing thought that maybe, after all the obsession, sacrifice, and sleepless nights, he just wasn't enough. The captain's burden hit Keegan Bradley like a slow-motion collapse. Not one fatal mistake, but death by 1,000 doubts. Every pairing he made, every tee placement, every quiet pep talk turned into another breadcrumb on the trail of self-blame that haunted him afterward. At just 39, the youngest U.S. Ryder Cup captain in nearly 50 years, Bradley was sold as the face of golf's new era, analytical, data-driven, and fiery as ever. But when Europe ripped his blueprint apart piece by piece, all those so-called innovations twisted back on him, turning his proud vision into the very thing that tormented him most, and the biggest ghost haunting him, the course setup. Bethpage Black, a beast when left untamed, was softened under Bradley's orders to chase birdie runs, and it backfired hard. "I definitely made a mistake on the course setup," he later confessed. His voice gravelly, regret thick enough to choke on. That single admission exploded across golf media like a grenade. Analysts started counting birdies like body bags. Europe had 28 more. His master plan, meant to give Team USA the edge, became the very weapon that destroyed them. Then came the endless second-guessing. Why bench Thomas? Why trust rookie Akshay Bhatia over proven vets? Why slow the greens? The criticism piled higher than the trophy he never got to touch. Bradley's post-cup insomnia wasn't some poetic metaphor. It was real, brutal, and sleepless. Reports said he replayed every single shot in his mind, haunted by choices that once seemed genius. "When you're the leader," he said quietly in Hartford weeks later, "and you lose, you take the blame. This is no one else's fault." It was noble and absolutely crushing. That confession, soaked in exhaustion, hit the golf world like a gut punch. Even his own players, Thomas Scheffler, rushed to defend him, saying, "We just needed to make more putts." But Bradley couldn't let it go. The weight of leadership sat on his shoulders like chains. Being captain wasn't a title. It was solitary confinement dressed in a navy blazer. Golf's polished world loves perfection. But Bradley's breakdown forced everyone to finally stare straight at the truth. This wasn't just a game. It was a full-on mental siege. Behind every fist pump, every champagne spray, there's a human being barely holding it together under the weight of burnout. So when Keegan Bradley made that huge announcement at the Travelers, it wasn't just another emotional speech. It was the sound of a man unlearning perfection. His voice cracked as he said, "I don't think I'll ever get over this." The crowd froze, silent, stunned. That's the moment golf stopped being polite and started getting painfully real. Then came the chaos. When that final European birdie dropped, America didn't just lose a trophy, it lost its cool. Fans cried, Twitter melted down, and within hours, memes were everywhere. Bradley's dazed, heartbroken face became the internet's newest obsession. It was part heartbreak, part haunted stare. The US locker room felt like a funeral draped in golf bags. Insiders said you could hear the silence echo. Bradley tried to play it cool, shaking hands and congratulating opponents, but that mask shattered quick. According to Golfweek, he spent that night pacing alone, whispering missed shots under his breath like a man possessed. His family later confessed he barely slept for days, stuck in a loop of what-ifs and regrets. The so-called Ryder Cup hangover wasn't poetic, it was painfully real. It wasn't just emotional, it was physical. Adrenaline, cortisol, regret, a toxic mix that left Keegan Bradley hollowed out at that post-match press conference. He said all the right words, Europe played better, but his eyes told the truth. Red, glassy, completely defeated. The clip spread like wildfire across X, formerly Twitter, a broken captain forcing composure while grief spilled from every syllable. Within 24 hours, Golf Digest called it the loneliest moment in American golf. Behind closed doors, Bradley was falling apart. He pulled out of public appearances, skipped the Procore event, and vanished into his Massachusetts home. Sources said he didn't even touch a golf club for weeks. His wife Jill urged him to get therapy, but he brushed it off. He's too proud, one close friend told reporters. He wants to suffer through it. That's how he deals. Then came October 21st, Travelers Championship Media Day, the moment his silence finally cracked. Bradley stepped up to the mic in a navy pullover, eyes hidden behind the sun, voice steady but heavy. Reporters expected a small update, maybe some tour schedule talk, but what they got instead was an emotional confession that completely reshaped his legacy. Bradley spoke softly, almost trembling. "Since the Ryder Cup, it's been one of the toughest times of my life." And just like that, the dam burst. The stoic captain everyone knew vanished, and standing there was just Keegan, a man crushed by the weight of perfection. Bethpage didn't just beat him, it broke him. But in that break, he gave golf something it hadn't seen in years. Raw honesty. October 21st, 2025, Hartford, Connecticut, Travelers Championship Media Day. The air was sharp, the crowd tense, waiting. And finally, Keegan Bradley, the man who had carried a nation's heartbreak on his shoulders, stepped up to a microphone that had waited way too long to hear the truth. Reporters came expecting the usual PR talk, sponsor plugs, polite smiles, maybe some forced optimism about moving on. But instead, they got the sound of a man cracking his soul wide open. "There's no part of me that thinks I'll ever get over this," Bradley said, his voice trembling but sharp enough to cut through the silence. No cue cards, no cliches, just raw truth spilling out. Every word hit like a confession, unfiltered, unguarded. You put everything into it, every waking minute for 2 years, and then it's gone in 3 days. The room froze. Even ESPN's Chris Berman, famous for his quick jokes, sat dead silent. Bradley wasn't polishing pain for the cameras. He was showing it, bleeding honesty in front of the world. He walked everyone through it. The sleepless nights, the self-doubt, the endless replays of every misread putt and pairing that backfired. "The first 2 days went about as bad as we could have imagined," he sighed, shaking his head. "It was emotional, sad to be honest, brutal, freaking brutal." He caught himself half laughing through tears that refused to fall. The crowd let out a nervous chuckle, not out of humor but recognition. For once, golf's strict culture of silence cracked open, revealing something real, vulnerability. Bradley wasn't just a captain explaining a loss. He was a man grieving a dream that didn't survive the weekend. And what made it all hit so deep wasn't just the confession itself, it was the courage to say it out loud. But what truly shook everyone was who was doing the confessing. Keegan Bradley, the fiery grinder. The guy who used to fist pump after draining 30-foot putts was standing there publicly admitting defeat. Not on the scoreboard, but in his own mind. By the second day, he said, "I was so physically exhausted. Honestly, good thing I didn't play." The irony hit like a cruel joke. The same man snubbed as a player in 2023, who came back as captain for redemption. Now wished he'd played just to escape the suffocating pressure of leadership. Golf.com later crowned it the most human moment in PGA media history. Within an hour, Justin Thomas tweeted, "Keg's heart is pure gold. That man bleeds for us." Social media turned quiet, almost reverent. Hashtags like "for Keegan" and "mental hangover" flooded feeds overnight. But this moment wasn't about pity. It was about permission. Permission for golfers, fans, even captains to finally admit the toll this game takes. Between the cracks of his voice, Bradley gave golf something bigger than any trophy: honesty that hurt, and healing that finally began. The Ryder Cup hangover isn't a catchy phrase. It's a full-blown diagnosis. And for Keegan Bradley, it came with every symptom of a man haunted by what-ifs. Sleepless nights, guilt spirals, emotional shutdowns, all hidden behind that calm captain's mask. In his own words, he was mentally and physically gone. Sports psychologists even have a name for it: the post-performance crash. The brain, wired on adrenaline and pressure for months, suddenly burns out when the moment it's built for ends in heartbreak instead of victory. For 2 relentless years, Bradley trained his body and mind for that one weekend at Bethpage, and when it all collapsed, he was left with no closure, just silence and scars. It was an emotional freefall, no safety net, no reset button. After something like that, Dr. Brett McCabe told SI.com, "Your brain keeps replaying the trauma. It's like a sports version of PTSD." And Keegan Bradley was living that reality every single day. In interviews, he described walking into his garage at night, instinctively reaching for the captain's notes he'd carried all week, only to stop mid-air, realizing it was over, and just stand there in silence. "You can't shut it off," he admitted. His anxiety wasn't new either. A resurfaced 2023 Facebook video showed him saying, "I'm anxious every day of my life. Golf's hard for me." Fans once thought that was humility, but looking back, it was a quiet warning. By October, exhaustion wasn't just mental, it was carved deep into his bones. He revealed that by day 3 of the Ryder Cup, his body was on the verge of collapse, completely out of adrenaline, but still forcing itself forward out of pure pride. "I was so physically exhausted," he admitted. "Good thing I didn't play." Yahoo Sports called it a confession, soaked in fatigue. But buried beneath that exhaustion was something deeper: clarity. Bradley wasn't sulking, he was studying his scars. "You learn on the fly," he said, giving full credit to his vice captains Fred Couples and Stuart Sink. "They helped me not completely fall apart." The haunting twist? His love for the Ryder Cup never faded. "You love something so much," he said softly, "that it just doesn't give you anything back." That one line shattered the internet. An anthem for every athlete, artist, or dreamer who's ever given their all to something that gave nothing back. Bradley's raw honesty became a mirror, reflecting what most hide: the pain behind the passion. Suddenly, golf didn't look like some polished country club fantasy anymore. It looked real, messy, human. The hangover wasn't just his, it belonged to everyone who's ever lost something they thought they'd earned. By late October, the pundits pounced. Bradley's breakdown turned into a full-blown case study. Was he too young, too emotional, too modern for the old-school Ryder Cup mold? Hot takes were flying faster than tee shots. Golf Digest blasted his appointment as a rushed experiment, while the fried egg fired back, saying he was just a product of a broken system. The debate burned on, but the damage and the message were already out there. Barstool Sports, in true Barstool fashion, didn't hold back. Keegan got screwed, but as always, the truth lived somewhere in between. Analysts like Joseph Lamagna praised Bradley's fire and leadership energy, but slammed the PGA for tossing him into chaos with barely any prep time. He avoided catastrophe, Lamagna wrote, but never had a real shot at consistency. The role came too early, and the expectations were Olympic level, impossible to meet. Yet, buried in the wreckage, some saw a spark of hope. Keegan didn't fail. My Golf Spy argued. He exposed how broken the Ryder Cup system really is. Their post-mortem hit hard: outdated structures, weak communication, blind loyalty over merit, and zero psychological support for captain.
Yeah, I mean, the Europeans won one match today. Like, you think about the odds of something like that happening, just on a coin flip would be incredible. But when you go out when they're in the sports and you're battling your butt off to win, it just shows you just how proud these guys are and how much they want this and how much this means to them. And to watch them go out all week and hold their heads high and then go out there today.
Bradley didn't just lead a team. He unknowingly uncovered golf's biggest flaw. That last point hit the loudest after Bradley's raw mental health confession. Golf psychologist Dr. Bob Rotella went viral for saying captains are set up to fail emotionally. They carry everyone's pain but get none of the relief. And Bradley's media day honesty proved him dead right. But instead of hiding from the fallout, Bradley flipped the script. He found purpose. Rather than dodge the blame, he turned into an advocate. According to the New York Post, he started pushing the PGA to assign a mental resource liaison for future captains, basically a therapist built into the team's structure. "We've got coaches for putting and swing," he said. Why not the mind? It was bold, unexpected, and exactly what golf's vulnerability-shy world needed to hear. Golf forums and podcasts lit up, everyone debating whether Keegan Bradley had just kicked off golf's mental health era. The tone shifted fast, from blame to empathy, after Riggs from Barstool tweeted, "Great guy, got really screwed." It didn't sound like gossip anymore, it sounded like respect. And maybe that was Bradley's quiet victory in losing the Ryder Cup. He somehow became its conscience. What once drew ridicule, the tears, the shaky voice, the visible regret had transformed into reverence. Bradley didn't just lose a cup, he gained a movement. The support started small. A few tweets here, a handful of heartfelt posts there, but within 48 hours of his traveler's confession, it exploded into a tidal wave of love and solidarity. Golf for once felt human again. Twitter, usually the land of sarcasm and chaos, suddenly united under one phrase. Justin Thomas lit the spark, tweeting, "He gave everything for us, we should have played better. Period." Within minutes, Bryson DeChambeau followed up saying, "Keg's fire lit us up, the loss is on all of us." And then came the shocker. Rory McIlroy himself, the man who crushed Bradley's dream, tweeted, "Respect the honesty, class act." That one hit different. The guy who beat him showing love? That wasn't just sportsmanship, that was solidarity. Then came the fans. Reddit threads turned into open therapy circles, with people sharing stories of burnout, failure, and pressure. Moments that mirrored Bradley's breakdown. Golf had become more than a game that week. It became a mirror for every person who'd ever tried their hardest, and still fell short. He said what most of us feel, one user wrote. "We give everything to something that doesn't love us back." That comment hit home, and then Phil Mickelson jumped in, posting a photo of Bradley from 2012 with the caption, "Leaders pay a price, Keegan paid it with heart." That single line reignited the whole debate about the mental cost of leadership in golf. For once, the talk wasn't about yardages or strokes gained, it was about survival. Even the PGA, moving slower than a Sunday leaderboard, released a statement of support. They thanked Bradley for highlighting the emotional challenges of elite competition. Basically corporate speak for "we see you, man." And in true Barstool style, Riggs summed it up best. Keegan showed more courage off the course than most ever do on it. Riggs put it best, he got crushed for caring too much, and that's exactly why everyone loves him now. This collective rally wasn't just comforting, it was transformative. Bradley's pain became shared. His breakdown turned into a breakthrough for fans, players, even the media, who finally realized that vulnerability isn't weakness, it's strength in plain sight. One viral X clip said it all. Bradley whispering, "I'll sit with this for the rest of my life." The replies flooded in like a digital embrace. Hearts, prayers, comments saying we've all sat with something like that. Keegan Bradley didn't need to win the Ryder Cup to earn respect. He just had to be honest, and the world finally listened. As autumn leaves fell across New England, Keegan Bradley began to rise again, not as a flawless captain, but as a man rebuilt from truth. Quietly, deliberately, like a man piecing himself back together from emotional wreckage. Keegan Bradley returned to TPC River Highlands by late October. The sun was low, the air calm, and there he was, striping irons with a faint, peaceful smile. Back to work, he told reporters, one swing at a time. He wasn't the same competitor. He was sharper, calmer, scarred, but steady. That announcement that once sounded like surrender now felt like a rebirth. CBS cameras even caught him laughing with fans, cracking a joke about Bethpage. "Guess I'm a better player than a captain." The crowd erupted. The tension had finally lifted. With his world ranking still holding strong at 14, Bradley had a reason to dream again. And whispers of a comeback at the Hero World Challenge started flying fast. Then came the whispers, the kind that make golf fans hold their breath. Rumors swirled that Keegan Bradley might chase redemption as a player in the 2027 Ryder Cup. "I'd love one more shot," he said softly. "Don't know if I'll get it, but I'd love it." It wasn't defiance, it was faith, the kind only earned through pain and humility. Behind the scenes, he leaned hard on family and therapy. His wife Jill became his anchor. The calm in his storm, often reminding him, leadership isn't measured by trophies, it's measured by how you handle failure. She told Golf Channel, "He's more patient now, more present. He still hurts, but he's learning to breathe again." And in a beautiful twist, the PGA, moved by his honesty, announced it would expand its mental wellness program for both captains and players. Bradley's breakdown ended up rewriting more than headlines. It quietly reshaped policy itself. His pain started paving the way for others to heal faster, speak sooner, and admit what the pressure really costs. The same man who once said, "This event doesn't give you anything," had finally found meaning in the loss. "It's funny," he mused at a recent charity outing. "I thought the cup defined me. Turns out the loss did." The story came full circle, not with a trophy, but with truth. Keegan Bradley's huge announcement wasn't just another viral moment. It became a mirror for every athlete who's ever stood under bright lights and felt the crushing weight of failure. Bethpage may have stolen his victory, but it gave him something far greater. Redemption through raw, unfiltered honesty. Strength through vulnerability. That's the legacy Keegan Bradley leaves behind. One that outshines any scoreboard. In the end, he didn't win the Ryder Cup, but he won something far rarer: the right to be human in a sport obsessed with perfection. His huge announcement wasn't an apology, it was an awakening, because sometimes losing everything is the only way to truly find yourself again. If this story moved you, hit that like button, subscribe to Golf Swing for more real stories from the green, drop your thoughts in the comments, share this video, and I'll see you in the next one.